Welcome, everyone, to Hunters Entertainment on Twitch.tv. We're very excited to have you with us tonight. October has arrived, and we have something very special. We've played a number of games with these players. We've spent a lot of time exploring a variety of characters that they've created. And they've created 4 more for you tonight. I'll be your game master, your guide, as we travel through the world of Outbreak Undead. If you're not familiar with Outbreak Undead, allow me to illuminate you. This game is a zombie survival horror game. It is brutal, unforgiving, and it skews towards realism in a way that many game systems do not. The purpose of this is to explore our very base needs for survival and humanity. And it's not something that we're going to do lightly. I've spoken to all of my players, and we have done our due diligence to ensure that we are collectively safe together. But I want you to be safe with us as well. This isn't going to be for the faint of heart. The stream isn't going to be rose-colored glasses and silver linings. Do not fall in love with these characters, please. Unlike some other games that you may have played, there is no magical sword that can save you. There's no grand wizard that will step in and create a spell that can bring the fallen back to life. A broken ankle in these days could be the end for you. That said, when a character does lose their life, the player will not leave the game. We have other ways to keep them involved. And we will be exploring a wide network of survivors in these end of days. I have so much more to tell you, and we will get to all of it. But let me be clear. There is a content warning attached to this game, and we wish to be transparent with you about it. Our moderators, who do us a great service every time that they join us, will inform you. That said, if you have the fortitude and will to stay with us, then I think you may very well discover something about yourself. Each of these characters are going to band together. Survival isn't the only goal here. The world, crumbling though it may be, is not without hope. And together, we will construct a narrative of how humanity on the brink of destruction might blossom anew. I'm surrounded by some amazing role players, honored by their presence. I would like to introduce each of them to you now. They will tell you a little about who they are playing, but not everything. I've told all of the players this, but I'll tell you now as well. One of them is not who they seem. One of them does not have the group's best interest in mind. One of them will betray the others. The others are unaware of this. My chosen will reveal themselves when the time comes. With that said, allow me to introduce you to our players for this story. Melee, who are you playing tonight?
Hi there, I'm Melee Damage, and I'll be playing Abigail.
Markia, thank you for joining us. Who are you playing?
Hello, I'm Markia McCarty, and I'll be playing Achira Sampson. Achira knows when to keep it long and when to keep it alone.
My friend Luis, thank you for being with us tonight. Who are you playing?
Hey everybody, I'm Luis Carrazzo, and I am playing Lampwick, which is definitely not the name that I was born with, but it's the name that I have now.
Names in these days are varied. Oftentimes we create our own. Michelle, hello. Who are you playing tonight?
Hi, I'm Michelle, and today I'll be playing Juniper Song.
With our players introduced, I would be remiss if I didn't thank the people who are responsible for making this story happen. A great deal of work has gone into what we're about to share with you. It is different than perhaps some of the games that you've seen here on Twitch. We hope so. We hope that you're inspired. We hope that you are perhaps scared. We hope that we encourage you to think and to perhaps grow a little in our own time. JB Jara is our technical director tonight, and without his steadfast guidance, we couldn't do this. Also, Alex has worked endlessly to ensure that all of the mechanics tonight are in place, the character sheets are created, and that we are able to use unique characters to tell these stories. Not only that, he has been bright, shining light to me in the long, very, very dark tunnel that we are about to undertake. So I caution you, be careful. You are not alone, but that may not be a good thing. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're about to begin. You've had your opportunity to walk away, yet you're still here. I appreciate that. As I said, I will be the game master for this story, and I take that very seriously. This is not oppositional play. I am not against the players. It is not them versus me. Just like death, I am impartial. The Outbreak system, if you're unfamiliar with it, is very rich. It offers you the opportunity to play in a number of different modes. You can set your Outbreak level to determine how far gone the world really is. Not to do things halfway. I've chosen Outbreak level 4. The world ended on May 29th, 1995. That is when the governments collapsed, telecommunications failed, and the world was plunged into darkness. Civilization as we understand it deteriorated very quickly. Feudal kingdoms arose. States broke away, civil war rampaged, the bombs were dropped. Entire swaths of the entire world are radiated deserts. Broken shells of buildings are all that remain of the great metropolitan areas of what once was the United States of America. People are scattered, far and few between. Those that you do run across are desperate. However, the light of goodness was not fully wiped away from this world. It is now the year 2020, and the world has continued. With only a scattered few survivors, understanding of the world is now fully gone. Your tight, small communities, the individuals that you might run across on the road, may carry some rumor. There may be a signal found on a CB radio that may give you more information about what is happening in the world beyond your view. But it is rare. There are no active printing presses. Most communication, to those that even can read, is done by word of mouth. However, some technology has survived. The world was frozen in 1995. Cell phones, the internet, all of these things in their infancy died in the crib. Imagine that world. VHS, strange as it may seem, is the means by which bootleg copies of information are passed through survivors. And there is a ragged group known as the Enders that travel through the American plains on the railway systems. These roads connected cities once, but now they connect small groups of survivors. Communities that are bonded together, each very different, some deadly. But as I have said, this is not a game of black and white. Shades of gray are everywhere. And your trust must be carefully placed, because one false move could be your last. VHS tapes, bootleg copies of them passed hand to hand, tell the news of the day. There are survivors. There are those that would seek out others, and the Enders walk this road. They're known as Enders because of the name End of the Line. They are a lifeline in this dark time. And communities desperately need many things to survive. No single one group can produce all of the goods and services necessary to sustain more than just a handful of people. There are scattered remnants of survivors who have struck out on their own and live solitary lives. But as human creatures, we crave networks of others that we can understand and grow with, and we are always better and stronger together than we are apart. We are, even in the apocalypse, social creatures. These communities are kept alive by merchants that travel the roads. They're known as rag and bone folk, a term that is quite accurate now, but originally used in the 19th century to describe merchants who gathered salvaged scrap and would handle it and deal to all of those who might need it. The rag and bone folk have been resurrected in this time and now are the only individuals able to keep certain communities alive. it is very lucrative for them, but also very dangerous. Traveling on the road has dangers, and while the Enders work to keep the rail lines clear, nothing is guaranteed, and their numbers are limited. It is on one of these lines. Old railways, jagged wooden spikes jutting out from the ground, and broken steel that has been rusted, mostly grown over, but still leaving the skeletal remains of the life that once lived here. This road is where we begin, where we meet each of these characters as they walk, tired, sweating, even in the chill that is slowly growing in the Pennsylvania air. Outside of a community not too far away known as Bakersfield. The Midwest is lush, but the trees are slowly withering as winter encroaches upon them slowly. Despite the coolness in the air, the exertion from the day has left all of you tired. Juniper, describe yourself, please.
Juniper is very small, about 5 feet, nothing. She's about 22 years old. Maybe she doesn't even know her age. She has her hair wound up in lots of weird leather bits. She's always trying to wrap her hair up and out of the way. Too lazy to cut it. She talks in a weird kind of crackly voice, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. She was born after the fall, around 1997, 98. And she has no family now. I don't think I should reveal that yet about what happened, but I'm with this group.
That.
Yeah. I'm with this group now. I've just joined maybe 2 months ago. Just about past 2 months, for something to do. For this, I was wandering around by myself for a little bit.
You carry many things with you. Very few of them are personal, but as you're walking, in your hand is a worn old photograph. What once was known as a Polaroid. It has been folded many times and has creases all through it. There is a very handsome-looking couple. The man in the photo has your eyes. The woman looks very much like you in the lower part of your face. They are hugging each other on what looks like a pier. There are bright lights behind them, and the woman is softly kissing the man on the cheek. Her hand holding his face very gently. Love is very apparent and clear upon their face. These are the two that you have always known were your parents. It makes you sad, but at the same time, you could never bear to get rid of the photo, and it oftentimes finds itself there as you travel. And you glance over your shoulder and you see another couple walking together. A large, muscled man with a balding head with dreads that fall down his shoulders and a large, bushy beard that almost strikes his chest. He's holding hands with a thin man with a ball cap on and scraggly patches of hair across his face, wearing a flannel shirt and a large backpack, far too big to be carried by such a thin-looking person. And the two of them walk down the rail hand in hand, traveling with you. They have been with your group now for quite a while. The thin, middle-aged man with a heavy southern drawl is known as Joe Skeeter Jenkins. Skeeter to all of you. The larger man is Lawrence, but goes by Papa Bear. And he is a mountain, but perhaps one of the softest, most kind people that you've met in these days. And the couple walks, whispering to each other and laughing from time to time. You look at the photo again and back at them.
Something funny?
No, hell no, girl. We're still moving down the line. You pay attention to yourself, please.
Oh, okay. Just
Now, Skeeter, stop. She's just being curious.
I just thought if you're telling a joke, you should share it with the group, because I don't know a lot of jokes.
Knock, knock. You say who's there when someone
What?
says,
Oh,
you don't remember. You're post fall. Knock, knock is a joke. So I say knock, knock, and you say who's there?
Who's there?
Orange. And now you say orange who?
Orange shoe.
Knock, knock.
Are we doing it again, or is this a new part of the?
Papa Bear, come on now. Don't confuse the poor girl.
Okay, well, maybe you'll try again later. We've got time.
You continue down the line, and the two men walking hand to hand continue whispering. Further down the rails, another man walks. Lampwick, I want you to describe yourself, please.
Okay, so Lampwick is 6 feet tall. You can tell underneath his clothes that he's athletic. But if you take a well-built athletic person and then you let them go hungry for a little while, you can see that he is less muscly than he would be otherwise.
Mm-hmm. A little starvation has helped.
Just
that.
a little. He walks looking out, observing the horizon and observing the surroundings with a sense of ease and purpose. And there's a kind of grounded calm to him. And he looks back at the interaction that he just kind of overheard. Eyes and ears sort of constantly on a swivel, and sees the two men holding hands and kind of interact with that little thing over there, and just kind of chuckles to himself as he keeps moving forward.
As you're walking, your mind wanders, much like this seemingly endless railway. Your footsteps are slow, and you are aware of everything around you. The tall, dark forests on either side are slowly dropping the many colors of leaves that have slowly changed. Reds and oranges like fire surround you, and it is growing dark, and you know that that means that things are about to become much more dangerous. Currently, as a group, you are traveling along, and while the path is clear, it does not mean that you will not be gaining risk. Currently, my risk is at 40. It will continue to grow and raise as this session moves along. If you are lucky, it will be utilized in small encounters. But should that risk continue to build, it may be used against you in some very difficult ways. Looking at all the leaves around you, Lampwick, your mind does move back to the day that the world ended. Describe to me Lampwick before the fall.
So, Lampwick, before the fall. Geez, how can I? Well, I'll just say it as clearly and upfront as he would. Look, sometimes you wake up and you think, God, thank you for not making me ugly. Lampwick thought that and knew that every day. See, Lampwick's the kind of guy who, when he was too young, I'd be able to walk into a bar, give a slight wink and a nod, and even though I should have been carded, should not have been allowed in, I knew how to work the system. I knew how to work and charm the guy at the front door or the lady at the front door. Because see, bars are places where the lonely people go, and that's exactly where Lampwick wants to be.
So you're waking up, Lampwick, and your mouth tastes like an ashtray, and you smell like whiskey, and there are silk sheets strewn across the bed, and then for the first moment that your eyes open, you don't realize where you are. And then you see the woman lying next to you, sprawled out, naked, and fully asleep. A small pool of vomit pooled onto her pillow, and her arm lying over her head, her wedding ring glimmering in the morning light. It's at least 10 carats.
Well, it's definitely worth taking.
You slip your hand over, pull the wedding ring off of her finger. Her purse is on the other side of the room.
Not anymore.
You get dressed and you start to make your way out, and you see her car keys.
My car keys.
You step out, get into your new car, turn the engine over, and pull out into the road. It is a bright day in May. You turn on the radio. No music. Panic. It is breaking news now as we are uncertain of the current situation. However, we infer that all individuals that are currently on the streets to remove themselves. We are now in a lockdown. Find yourself at home and lock your doors. Do not exit until you are alerted. There are individuals on the street. There is something happening. More news as we find it. Damn it, Jim, are we still live?
How full is the gas tank?
It's 3/4 of the way full.
All right. Let's see how far that takes me.
You start driving. You adjust the rear view mirror. There's a car seat in the back. You keep driving. Smoke is on the horizon. Sirens, helicopters. The radio continues shrieking. Abigail, you're walking, and Lampwick is keeping an eye on things to your left and your right. You're still nervous. It's been a long road. You've been traveling now for a few days, and you've come to understand most of the individuals within your crew. That said, you don't trust all of them. Some of them are too new. Others are a little too quiet. Some of them are too loud. Describe yourself to us, please.
Abigail is a slender thing. She looks like she's a little ripped up, probably from, digging for scrap metal all the time. She has a rifle tucked behind her back, and she's always kind of wearing just the standard wife beater and jeans, and keeps her aviator shades on, which she insists eye protection is always very important.
Excellent. It is growing slowly darker. and the chill in the air is starting to bite a little. It doesn't bother you much. It lets you know that you're alive. You find a certain amount of pleasure in such things. As you're scanning across these other survivors, you see someone walking behind you, and you caution a glance back. It's a younger girl. She's perhaps 16 or 17 years old, even younger than Juniper, and you were fairly hesitant to bring her onto the crew. But then you saw how she could shoot. She's a crack shot. She carries a hunting rifle on her back and has a pistol at her side, an old 38. It's a wheel gun, and it's always reliable. She's never had a jam. She chomps on makeshift bubble gum that she's always got in her mouth. It is a strange concoction of tree roots and sap. Because of that, her teeth are almost always a little grunged over with a black tar. Her hair is tousled onto one side, and she wears what once was a bright pink jumper. It's worn and dull at this point, but there's something distinctly feminine about her. Something that seems in contradiction to her immediate ability to kill so accurately. She is a child that has discovered the 1990s. She has a deep, lasting love for all of the VHS tapes that you and your crew dig out of the rubble from time to time. Her favorites, and she has subjected everyone to this, is a series known as Full House. She also watches in living color and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Her affectations and her slang are all taken from these bits of lost media from the world that no longer is real. She has no parents, and if you believe what she says, she has traveled on her own since she was 10. Her name is Malibu Stacy, and as she reminds everyone, it's with 2 E's. That said, this candy coating that she wears on her exterior, it covers a very feral, fierce sort of person. The kind of human that you now know is forged in these times, raised in the middle of the apocalypse. Even things that might seem innocent and sweet can be very deadly. She chomps, and then as she looks at you, she gives you one of these.
You know, if you keep chomping on that gum like that, not only are you going to alert creepy crawlies this way, but also this thing is it's not a good look. Boys don't like that.
Gag me with a spoon.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Just close your mouth a little bit when you chew. Just.
Like this, Mom?
We're getting there. That's more like a cow chewing cud impersonation, but we're getting there. We're working on it. How's your shooting coming along?
Real tasty. I'm real good with the shot. I don't know if you're aware, but I can hit a bullseye at over 200 feet, and that's not even really trying.
Your gum still holding up?
Of course, I could use more rounds. Always could, for sure.
I think we all could, but I suppose we'll just have to keep looking for that.
For sure. And the two of you are walking down the rail lines. You turn and you remember yourself not too far away from that age, when everything went south. 1995. Can you very carefully describe to us Abigail at that time? Perhaps sitting on a park bench eating a sandwich, a
Hmm.
newspaper at her side, the weight of the world on her shoulders.
She had a favorite place in the park near her that she would sit. It was her favorite bench. And every day she would go there and open up a tomato sandwich and sit there and eat and watch as the butterflies would fly through the park and the bees would go from flower to flower. And just watching this little bit of nature would give her a small sense of peace.
There are blue butterflies today, and they dance upon flowers. May has been very generous. The weather has been very temperate. What city are you in? Boston?
Yeah, Boston sounds right.
Boston. There is a lush, green, well-manicured lawn in this park and beautiful trees. There are lovely, lovely flowers that are grown. You hear the shouts in the distance, though. Get out of my way, you jerk! The horn stops, and another car moves forward as a taxi pulls past. And there's a figure standing in the road, looking at you, walking towards you, Abigail. You recognize this face. They're coming closer. A man in a dark suit stands above you. You remember his face. You could never forget it. Look, we're not going to resolve this easily, are we, Abigail?
I suppose not.
You're the same. Every day it's the same thing. You always come here to this bench. I knew you'd be here.
Yeah, fancy seeing you here, though.
Are you going to be joining us on the 3rd?
Of course.
I'm glad to hear it.
Indeed. Is there anything in particular that I could do for you in the meantime to help in any way?
You can call Judith. She's worried sick. She has no idea where you are. All of us are concerned.
Right. I do apologize for being you know, a little bit of what do they call it, a space cadet sometimes. But I will call Judith. I apologize.
Look, Abigail, I know this life isn't for everyone. I know it's hard. I just want you to remember you're not alone.
We're never alone. I understand. And, thank you.
Chira, you're guarding the rear of this little caravan as it walks along. Stacy and Abigail, then Lampwick and the others are all stretched out before you. You're in the back. You're the last. Why? You're standing there for a moment. You stopped. You're no longer walking. It's growing dark. You're quiet. Something in the woods moves. Your head spins backwards. You're not alone here. There's a rustle somewhere further in those woods. The breaking of a twig somewhere in the distance, and it cracks and echoes through the entire space. Describe Achira to me, please.
Achira, even though she is a full grown adult, is wearing a camouflage jacket that barely camouflages and does not really hold out any kind of elements so much as being a windbreaker, but she's never seen without it. Along with that, her long hair, she takes the time of doing a number of different intricate braids with it. She looks young, but she is 37. And whenever anyone asks her when her birthday is, she says today. It is very rare that anyone ever asks about birthdays anyway. So she does that because she always gets something out of it, and it makes the other person feel special and more attached to her.
There are now entire generations that do not have birthdays. But there are those who still celebrate them, and those who cling on to any part of the world that ended, desperate for some tether to a civilization that wasn't just survival, where things weren't so difficult and not a tooth and nail fight to live. There's a pleasant, passive, and gentleness to the media that is available in very, very small pockets. Both you and Stacy, perhaps, have a small connection in this, and the two of you, maybe, have formed a friendship over an appreciation that the others seem to be a little more obtuse about. Would you say that this is true?
Yes. Achira grew up in, well, we'll say yes, Georgia. So she is from the South. However, she's from suburbia South. So her culture was taken from the TV and television. And even though she is an adult now, when the world stopped, that's what she knew. So there are moments in her downtime where she wonders how Tupac is doing and if he made it, for instance.
An interesting
And so
question.
since Me Against the World came out the same year that the world ended.
You carry that disc with you, one of the few CDs that you have. Stacy's collected a few others, and you spend a lot of time listening when you can. Batteries are a rare thing, but there are those who create bootleg versions of what can be used to power small electrical devices that are well maintained. They are luxury items. They're very valuable, and anyone would happily kill for a disc player,
which
or
is one of
perhaps
the
a VHS
reasons
player.
which is one of the reasons why Achira prefers to be alone. Yes, she grew up on sitcoms where family was key and they made it look so easy on the television. Just these things that had to be overcome, and they could be overcome within half an hour, but in reality, the real world isn't that at all.
It is
But that doesn't
moved.
mean that she doesn't hold it close to her. Sister, sister, and living color.
It is moved beyond an understanding for those who watch it. Those of you who were alive know that this was a reality and that this wasn't such a caricature, that it was believable enough. But to those who were raised post-fall, it seems like a fairy tale, a story told to bring children to rest at night. And you are very cautious. But I will say that Malibu Stacy has been very persistent because you have something that she has never had. The opportunity to know that world. And she's constantly prying you over dinner to try to get you to talk about what it was like. What was it like in the cities? What was it like to watch when they weren't just on VHS? What is AOL?
It was an event. There was this one episode of David Letterman where Drew Barrymore danced on his desk. And it was such a thing. Everyone talked about it.
I remember Drew Barrymore for sure. E.T., right?
Yeah, E.T.
I've only ever seen half of it, for sure.
That's a shame. Everyone should see all of it.
Maybe someday. That's the voice from The Fire, you know? Sorry, Kia, go ahead.
Now, if we can find it, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing all of it again myself. There's the thing that gets me is that even with it being television, and especially with this world that we're in now, you know that a whole lot of it was wishes and fantasy mixed in with a couple of drops of reality, but the reality was enough that it was so real and you wanted that to be your life. I was going to get into hockey. Fox had just aired this hockey league thing, and just seeing these people just skating around on ice, that was a thing. Now I don't know what I would even do with anything like that. I just have what we are now and the memories of what we were. And you know what? Stacy? Oh wait. You want me to go by your full title?
Like, for sure.
Malibu Stacy.
She smiles, and you see the kind of grungy black from the makeshift gum across her teeth.
What we have now is real. This is as the world turns, and you really need to stop looking back. Because looking back hurts more, it hurts worse than anything we have now. And you know what? I'm full up and I'm done with talking about this right now. So.
For sure. I just want to say though, if I don't look back, where am I supposed to look?
You look at your own 2 feet. Look at where you go. Look at what's in front of you. Look at what's around you. You know, all you have in this world is yourself, because everything else falls away. That's one thing I definitely learned. And then Achira realizes that she's going on a rant and then just falls extremely quiet and emotionless, and then just gets up.
And as you're walking away, you hear Stacy say, like the here and now right now, Pretty bogus, dude. And she gets up and walks away. And you're back on the rail now, Ashira, and you're walking with the others. You're remembering this conversation that you had with Stacy. And that's when those noises return. You hear them, the rattle, something moving in the dark woods. You don't think they're Romeros. They aren't that careful. To those of you listening now, a Romero is what this region refers to as a zombie, the Walking Dead. Named so after George Romero, creator of Night of the Living Dead. Most don't know that. Not these days. There are bootleg VHSs that are present. But still, Achira, you don't think this is the Walking Dead.
This is too careful. This is someone with intent.
Speaking of intent, I need all of you as players to now state your intentions. This is how we begin. You will give me actions that each of you would like to do, and I will assign to you speed dice that will be used to help determine what your action is and if you are successful. You will then roll, and using the percentile-based system that is the core of the skill system here within this game, we will determine how successful you are. Everything here is difficult. You must earn your successes. But failure, while it can be devastating, can also lead you to growth. If you have competency points, you will be able to use them to negate any sort of stages of failure that you might accumulate. Use them carefully. We'll be moving through this system slowly. This is a narrative introduction. We have a number of sub-goals that are very important to us tonight. Currently, if we reach 150 follows, we will have hit our goal. And we are hoping to also reach 10 subscriptions tonight. 25 subscriptions tonight. And if those are met, we will reward those who have supported us. Additionally, we are very excited to unveil the scry system. If you look in the panels below, I would ask that those of you that are interested, enter in a username. It will be your gateway to the apocalypse. You can interact with this world. It will be unlike any experience that you have had in the past, as resources will be generated for communities that you choose. Each of these groups, as they are introduced within our story, are desperately in need. Your decisions will either save them or condemn them. You can earn, through just watching the products that are here on Hunter's Entertainment, points that can be used to spend and purchase all of the things that these communities may need. And while it's simple now, your choices will grow. And through the narrative that we are going to tell together, you will have options. Those options will affect the world. And eventually, you will determine the face of the lands that these characters are traveling through. Power of life and death at your fingertips. Intent. Yes. Your intentions. Juniper, what are you doing in this moment as there are now sounds in the woods to your right and your left?
I just sort of automatically, I pushed the couple that I was talking to sort of behind me, even though they're much, much bigger than me and they're older than me. I push them behind me. And I start to stalk and stealthily towards, I guess, whatever the closest sound that I hear to me.
I hear you. So your intention is to fall into a stealth action and to try to scout the situation.
Yes.
Excellent. I would like for you to roll your spot listen.
Okay.
Lampwick, what is your intention? Your speed dice will be only 1.
Boom. Taking my cue off of Juniper and hearing the sounds. If I hear the sounds on my left and my right, and I see Juniper starting to approach one side, I turn around and kind of say, loud enough for it to be heard, I'm going to take a piss, and I'm going to kind of flank a little bit. So I'm intending to go to the left of Juniper as she's approaching the sound. I'm going to kind of go to the left, but I'm trying to bluff to make it seem like I'm doing something that I'm not actually going to do.
Interesting. So I hear that your intention is to try to draw away any attention that might be falling upon Juniper.
I'm going to, if that is an outcome, that's cool. But what I'm trying to do is if people are watching us, I'm trying to let them think that I'm oblivious to them. But I'm not going directly to them. I'm kind of going off to the side.
Excellent.
And if I get where I want to get, instead of unzipping my pants, I'm going to reach for my pistol and act like I'm unzipping my pants.
All right. So what I'm going to ask for you to roll then is I would like for you to roll your persuade with 2 speed dice. As you are taking your time and doing this action, and you'll be moving off the side of the road, you're actively trying to be sane.
Got it. So I click 2 on the blue dice.
And then you'll roll your percentile. We'll come back to you, and we'll determine how these actions actually play out, as everyone is going to state their intention now. Abigail, what is your intention in this moment?
How far away is Malibu Stacy from me?
Merely 5 feet away behind you on the rail.
I'm going to kind of slow down a little bit in my tracks and let her catch up with me. And I'm going to kind of grab like right behind the shoulder blade of her shirt and kind of pull her a little closer. And I'm going to go, we're going to go down into that ditch over there on the side. And we're going to crawl and get ready to take aim. And I'm going to slowly kind of pull her off to the side if I can get just below range of any kind of like storm drain or ditch or anything that's along the side of the road that we can kind of army crawl down the way to keep an eye on things and then pop up with guns if we have to.
Okay. So you say this to Malibu Stacy, and your order is conveyed. Your goal here is to conceal yourself, correct? So you're going to move off of that ditch. Let's have you make a stealth check, please. And your difficulty dice are going to be 2 because you are dealing with another of the survivors that you're working with.
All right. Do forgive me.
All right.
For that.
And I'll come back to you. Achira, what is your intention in this moment?
It's to immediately drop into full stealth. I'm not trying to distract or dissuade or any way, any shape or form. It's literally there's something that I don't know in my path. So immediate stealth, pulling my long gun, my rifle, my intention would be to disappear and appear behind it when I need to be.
Very well. Your intention is to hide. I would have you roll your stealth, but as you're drawing your weapon as well, you will have 2 speed dice. But you will be prepared to move more quickly on your next attack. Now, Juniper, what was your roll? You got a 43
Yes.
on your spot listen.
Yes, I got a little confused looking at it. And then is that 1 degree of failure then?
34 is with the target number that you were trying to hit.
Oh,
So
okay.
you have, if you were trying to hit a 34 and you have gotten a 43, that means that you are under 10. So because of that, you have effectively only gained 1 degree of failure,
Got it.
but it is a very, very minor failure. So would you like to narrate why this doesn't work out quite the way that you thought it would?
I am trying very hard to be stealthy, but I kind of know, maybe I kind of notice Lampwick. He's talking about peeing, and it just seems weird. I don't know what I thought he could hear the same things I could, so it's sort of it confuses me a little bit because I kind of like notice him going somewhere else.
And you hear the zipping, but you don't hear anything else, as he seems to be making quite a bit of noise off to the other side from you.
Yeah, so maybe I assume it's him.
Okay, so next up is actually Abigail. Abigail, you grab onto Malibu Stacy, and I'm going to say that you have a 66, which is 3 degrees of failure, because 31 was your target number. So that's a lot of failure here, and you do grab onto Malibu Stacy, but she seems to be very distracted with what is happening. Why don't you tell me what you'd like to do with these failures? Spend some competency to maybe help her to pay more attention to what's happening around her.
Yeah. I would like to spend competency points if I can. I can't say the word, but I'd like to spend the points.
You may. So currently, your competency pool should be on your character sheet, and it would be right underneath your willpower. How many competency points do you have at the start of this adventure?
I am so bad at my eyesight.
No, that's okay.
Where is the willpower located? Oh, wait, there it is. Okay, I think there's a number on the left and a number on the right. Which one is the competency points?
The number on the far right.
That would be 0.
Right. You currently do not have any competency points. So allow me to help you to understand this situation a little bit better, Abigail. You have no problem getting into position. Stacy, on the other hand, is looking back at Achira and doesn't listen to you, and is now moving towards Achira's position, not following your order.
Damn it, girl.
She moves across the rail, and she's trying to be quiet. Allow me to roll her stealth to see how she does as she starts moving across this open walkway. She stumbles. There's a clatter of stone as she's pushing her way down closer to where Achira is, and rolls into the ditch next to Achira. You hear, ah! She might have injured herself. Achira, as you're positioning yourself, you have only received 1 degree of failure on your ability to hide from anyone who might be watching. And now that it is becoming fully dark here, your risk is raising very quickly. Every moment matters. If you are out in the open between 45 and 90 minutes during this time, I will earn additional risk. You know that you need to find shelter fairly quickly, as the Romeros do begin moving when it becomes dark, much more actively than they do during the day. And while you were not certain, Achira, that this was in fact one of the dead, your suspicions have been proven wrong. You see a silhouette on the rain, lumbering forward, dragging what at first you thought was a veil or cloth. Now you realize that they're intestines being draped behind them like the train on a wedding dress. As the fully nude woman, skin boiled off by the hot sun, muscles exposed, slowly lurches forward. It stops and smells the air. Then, two other figures, at the sound of that strange gasp, make their way onto the rails as well. Tell me, Achira, how you're going to manage your single point of failure here. You are muted.
Achira tends to strike first, and her degree of failure here is going to be that she hides, and that's going to be successful. But her main point of this was to take out the threat before it became more of a threat. And when
You might have
she
been successful, but unfortunately Malibu Stacy has made far too much noise trying to make her way to your position.
and because of that distraction, she was jostled and hesitated in her shot, so she did not set things up for her shot.
In this moment, all of you take a deep breath. You realize that you are in a difficult situation. Lampwick, you make your destination to the tree. You think that perhaps it is a little past the idea of any sort of intelligent recognition. You're hanging in the wind. You hear that strange guttural groan down the pathway, and you know you're not dealing with mortal enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Malibu Stacy's on the ground. The other two gentlemen have made their way off the road and are very quietly hiding. However, you see a slight glint of steel as their weapons begin training on the Romeros further down the pathway. A single shot rings out. Ka-chow! And the air breaks not too far from where you're hiding, Abigail, as the strange dead that is standing in the center alone, making this noise as the others start coming out from the tree lines to the right and the left, reels backwards, stumbles, and then pulls themselves again upright. It was not a headshot. It failed. Oh, damn it! Everything is still for a moment. The dead creature rights themselves and starts moving towards you again. All of you are in your positions. Tell me what you would like to do, and we will conclude the next round. Juniper, what is your intention?
For my equipment, we kind of didn't have time to discuss what weapons we were taking. I would actually like to have a bow and arrow. So I should shoot for that.
Mm-hmm.
So can I aim towards where the what's it called, Romero closest to Abigail and Malibu friend are, to try to take a shot at it?
You absolutely can. I would suggest that as you each take a breath, you realize that this isn't your first time in this situation like this. You've left yourself out in the wind a little bit more than you perhaps should have, but you know that you're close to a safe house. It's most likely less than an hour away, or I'm sorry, a mile away. Moving quickly, you could do that fairly fast, making your way down the rest of the railway here. Each of you will be given 5 competency points to be able to lean on your experience in these situations. The initial shock of the situation prevented you from being able to draw from that pool. Now, I'm giving them to you. You may use them to remove degrees of failure if you choose. All right, so you draw your bow, and Juniper, you take aim. Roll your shoot skill, but then at the same time, you will have 1 damage die, and you will have 2 speed dice as you are drawing your bow and pulling an arrow from a quiver. You are good. Still, it takes time. Roll, and we'll see where you act in the round. Lampwick, what are you doing?
All right. Well, I am. As soon as I redirect my plan, as soon as what this thing is revealed to me, I'm gonna pull out my spear, my makeshift spear, and I'm gonna try to approach cautiously back to the railway with my spear out, and I'm taking an eye. I'm trying to get on the other side. I want to make sure that I'm in between the Romeros and our destination, but I got my spear out ready to poke any of them that pop out. So if any of them come within range, I'm going to strike them.
Okay, I understand your intention. So you are going to be attempting to position yourself for an attack using your melee if it occurs, correct?
If it occurs, and I'm trying to take point.
All right, and so since you're trying to put yourself into the front, I do want you to make your melee attack, and it is piercing. So make your melee attack piercing with your spear, and add 3 speed dice to that, because you are going to be moving past the others, trying to position yourself beyond where they are.
Got it.
And then, Achira, what is your intent in this moment?
Now that she's effectively under cover and is no longer distracted, then she's going to take her shot with her long gun that she already has pulled. Headshot, if possible.
So that's going to be arranged, but it's also going to be only 1 speed die. You were preparing for this, and despite your distraction, you are ready, and you are good with your gun. Roll, and we will determine how you do. Abigail, in this moment, what are you doing?
How many Romeros do we see at the moment?
3 at the moment.
And Akira's aiming at 1, correct?
Yes, as far as you can tell, it is dark now.
I will try to aim at not the one that's closest, which I assume Akira has. I'm going to try and shoot at the next closest one.
Okay, so you aim at one that is still just emerging from the tree lines. Your speed dice is going to be 2, and you are also using your range. All right, this is how it happens. Each of you, remembering your time together, take an assessment of the situation and prepare to attack where you can. An arrow flies first. Juniper?
Yes, I did.
You got 1 degree of success, which means that you hit.
Okay.
Tell me how that strike lands upon your enemy.
In moments like these, Juniper is always shaky and nervous, even though I've grown up this way. It still feels not great. As I aim to shoot, I'm not sure I'm gonna hit. I'm shaking a little, but I kind of feel like I should at least protect Malibu Stacy. So I breathe out. I clutch the photo that I have in my pocket, and I reach up and I aim and shoot, and I knock it right on the side of the head, kind of getting it off balance and hopefully knocking it out of the way a little bit.
This is an important note, and we are talking a little bit about it in chat, and I want you to understand the multiplier for your weapon and the gear that you use is very important. Equipment changes everything. What you have and the quality of the items that you use can be the difference between life and death. In this situation currently, your multipliers are going to be 2. So it is going to be slightly better gear.
Okay.
So your current shots, though, we're going to stay with 1, if that's understandable. So your arrow does fly true. You do strike. And the Romero that's standing there in the center stumbles backwards for a moment and gurgles. as the arrow seems to have pinioned itself through the individual's shoulder. The arm sort of falls limply to the side. The other two raise up out of that ditch, and immediately, Achira, you very quickly fire your weapon, and you have received 3 degrees of success due to your shot. Would you like to narrate what happens?
There is a type of calm that comes over Achira, and this is something that she wears extremely well, and especially in times in combat. And when that's on, there's just this razor focus that happens with her towards whatever her target is. And in this particular case, it is a Romero. And she already had her weapon raised. It's just an adjustment that's like a locking in place type of a deal. And with that, the back of the Romero's head explodes in not a pink mist, because that's not blood circulating. It's a
No, it
black
is not.
goop.
It falls to its knees and then forward as the open cavity that has been rocked through its head exposes open skull and shattered brain. The dead creature has been put to rest and falls forward fully onto the ram. The other two, however, are still lurching forward, and as they do, one of them turns its head back towards the way it came. Lampwick. In this moment, you step forward with your spear. They are lurching backwards as the head in front of the closest one to you that you were starting to move forward with the spear explodes and falls dead. Your target has been removed. You have 2 degrees of failure.
My failure is that taking me by surprise, and then me having to take a moment to kind of redirect my positioning. So my attack is lost. I kind of stumble for a second as it falls before me, and then I try to get my bearings and reassess the situation. So there's 2. I don't know if I have enough. I mean, I'm not going to use competency points, but it does throw me off that the one I was going for falls, and I try to like reposition myself, but don't get my footing just right.
I'm going to make it for 2 failures, given the situation and where you're at. I'm going to have you make a composure roll.
Perfect.
This is dangerous. You are in the middle of this now, and you are not at a distance with a gun. You do not have your allies close at hand, and while your actions were brave, they might have been fatal. You're assessing your situation now, and gunfire and arrows are flying around you. How did you do on your composure?
1 degree of success.
You steel yourself. You swallow hard, and you realize that you're going to make it. You just need to regroup with the others. This can't go on this way. And if these things are doing what you suspect that they're doing, trying to call out to each other, there will be more. Your best course of action might be to hightail it down the line.
That's exactly what I want to do next.
Okay, so all I want you to do then is prepare for your next action and think about how you're going to make your way away from this situation. Great. Abigail, how did you do?
I believe that was 2 degrees of failure.
Another 2 degrees of failure. Interesting.
But now that we have competency points, I would like to use 2 of those to make that break even if I can.
Technically, you will always either fail or succeed. Some game masters choose to house rule a wash. I am not one of those game masters. If you spin 3, it will be a success. If you spin 2, it will be a failure.
I'll spin 3.
Fair. Your gun rings out. And all of you realize now shots have been fired. You're making a lot of noise. That means that I'm going to get a certain amount of risk that I can use later. When your gun rings out, one of the Romeros spins backwards. And falls forward. It isn't moving. You don't think you headshotted it. You're not sure what's wrong with it, but it doesn't seem to be a threat immediately. It's on the ground, not moving. The last one starts to lurch itself up, moving closer. And we're on our final round of this encounter. I need your intentions, and I want you to be very careful about what you choose. Juniper, what would you like to do?
I'd like to. Am I still standing close to the couple, the 2 men, or am I closer to Abigail and?
You're closer to the 2 men. You're further back.
Okay. I want to just run over to them.
Skeeter and Papa.
Skeeter and Papa. Papa Bear. Mm-hmm. I run over to Skeeter and Papa Bear. Hey, we gotta go. This is not
I agree, little lady. We gotta get moving. We gotta shake a lamb's tail like never been shook before. Let's get the F out of here.
Okay, I have understood any of that. Let's go. I just want to take that little group and I'm gonna go with them and just
go. I'm gonna cover Lampwick. The large man looks at you sternly. Go. And kind of almost pushes Skeeter towards you.
Yep.
You got it, Papa. You better come back to me, though. You big oaf. Skeeter grabs you and covers you as the 2 of you start moving quicker down, Juniper. I'm not going to require a roll for you to make your way down the tracks. You are leaving. And you're able to outrun these creatures. They are not fast, though you have run across the dead that do move in very unnatural ways. Thankfully, these seem to be some sort of shambling version of the Romeros that you're used to. That is good. Lampwick, what is your intention in this moment?
I'm getting the hell out of here too. So I'm moving down the tracks. I want to see who, kind of look around at my group. I see Juniper and Skeet.
I need to stop you there, Louise.
Yep.
You turn. Your eyes light upon the rest of the group. And that final Romero lunges forward with unnatural speed, grabbing onto you. You feel its dead, cold, slimy hands across your back. Your neck is smeared with some sort of filth. Run! Run! Luckily, you take no damage, but you are currently being held back.
Uh-oh.
And then you hear a shout. Bogus, dude! And a gunshot fires right over your ear and into this Romero. Part of its jaw breaks off, and a splash of blood sprays across your face. Black, thick, viscous blood runs down your face, Lampwick. As Malibu Stacy charges forward with her shot. Grab my hand, dude. For sure, go!
If she's talking to me, I'm going to grab her hand and I'm tearing off my shirt and wiping that crap off my face.
I will allow you to tear off your shirt, but you're also going to lose your backpack, which means that half of your gear will be gone.
If that's what it takes to survive, we'll get more gear later.
Agreed. Your gear is left behind. She grabs your hand and starts to pull you forward. Achira, Abigail, you see this happen. Achira, you're the first to react. What do you do?
The threat at this time has been removed, but gear has just been left behind. Achira is going to grab the gear and retreat along the way, incorporating whatever she wants into her own pack.
That is a very interesting intention, and one that I will have to deal with some dice rolls, and I'll come back to you. Abigail, are you staying or are you going?
She is. Ooh, that's a very good question. She's looking to see who left already, but when she realizes she's about to go, she sees that Stacy is still behind there, and she's gonna try and keep an eye on her as much as possible. So she's gonna linger as long as Stacy does, and keep her gun readied in case she needs to fire.
So if I understand you correctly, you're not approaching, but you're ready to lay down some suppression fire?
Correct.
Okay, so I would like for you to make another ranged roll, and your speed is going to be 1.
Okay.
Make sure that you're keeping track of your depletion. Now then, another series of gunshots rings out. Achira, you start moving forward. Make a stealth roll. Your speed dice will be up to you. If you wish to do this quickly, I'll allow you to do it. It will only be 1 speed die, but there will be a greater risk to you because you're being quick. If you'd like to be careful, we can change that dice as well. And I'm sorry, I've misspoken. If you are quick, you will receive 1 speed die, but there will be greater dangers. If you are slow, your speed dice will be 3. You may not get everything that you want, but you will be able to safely retrieve it. Does that make sense?
It does. I'll go for the 3.
Wise choice. You're going to carefully move forward, so make a stealth roll with 3 speed dice. I'm also going to add 1 difficulty die. If you had chosen to move with 1 speed die, I would have given you 3.
Do I get a 2 modifier with this or an R1?
You get a 2 modifier. Again, this is fairly routine. This is something that you deal with on a daily basis. This may be intense and frightening, but it is your life. You're well accustomed to what you must do to survive.
Achira only takes risks when she feels that it's worth it. But when she feels that it's worth it, she will take that risk.
And you have done well for yourself, Achira. You have received 3 degrees of success. You retrieve everything. The entire pack that has been left behind is now yours. We will resolve what of Lampwick's gear is now yours after all of this is taken care of. Abigail, you're starting to sight this. The final Romero that is moving at this point is lunging after both Lampwick and Malibu Stacy as they push their way further down the track. They are coming towards you, and you are at short range.
I'm going to follow them if they move and they start making that way. I'm going to make it that way with them and just kind of linger behind them with my gun out in case anything starts following us. I can pick them off.
Did you take a shot?
Not yet.
Okay, so you're holding your action as far as the shot is concerned. So you continue to move down, and you run alongside them, the gun in your hand, ready to fire. This thing is lurching forward. It is not as quick as they are, and they are quickly left behind. The only member of your group that has not begun to run down the rail track is Lampwick. Or I'm sorry, is Achira, who has grabbed Lampwick's equipment and is now trailing behind, slightly behind the Romero. Does anyone assist Achira in clearing this Walking Dead abomination?
When Abigail sees that Achira is behind, she'll take her shot at the Romero.
All right. And how did you do it? Your difficulty die is not going to come into play here. You're used to making these kinds of shots in this moment. You are running, however, so I will amend that by saying you have 1 difficulty die. That's 1 degree of success. It's very good. It certainly isn't going to kill the Romero, but it does slow it down, and it stops. Falling to its knees. Achira, do you run?
It's wounded and near Achira.
It is. It's on its hands and knees, spurting black bile out of its mouth.
Achira is going to use her hand scythe to then finish it off.
You're going to try to stab through its spinal column, severing its brain, slashing right through its skull. That's going to be, if it's
just remove the head.
Head.
You can't call if it doesn't have lungs.
Very well. 2 degrees of difficulty.
Even with it prone on the ground?
I'm accounting for that. I believe that is 102. Is that correct, Achira?
In any other game right now, Achira would have rolled extremely well, but not this one.
How many competency points do you have remaining?
I have 5. So...
You have 5 degrees of failure.
Was this in any way a location hazard?
No.
In that case, I will use all 5 of my competency points to only have this be a mild failure as opposed to a catastrophic one.
Very well. I'm going to give you an option, Achira. You or someone else. Pick one.
Wasn't there a person left behind with Achira that said that they would cover everybody else?
Everyone at this point that you can see is on the rail with you. You or someone else.
I'm talking about the other half of the married couple that wished Juniper along and hung back. I think it was Papa Bear.
My point is that it's dark, and as far as you can tell from your viewpoint, everyone is running from this current situation. I will allow you to spot. So make a spot roll for me, and I will give you only 1 degree of difficulty because of the darkness to be able to notice that Papa Bear is not in that group. The rest of you are breaking away. You are clear for the moment. You don't notice Achira, I'm sorry to say. You do glance across the group, but you're not standing still. You're running with everyone else, and it is dark, and this road is not lit. There are no lights here. There's just that slight gleam of the railway beneath you, that little bit of metal, and you see dark shapes ahead of you. It's impossible to know whether Papa Bear is there with you or not, and you were not part of the conversation with Juniper. You were on the other side of the track, so you didn't hear it. As far as you know, everyone is leaving now and not present elsewhere. So I'll ask you one more time, and then I'll make a choice. You or someone else.
But I'm not sure if someone else is there.
You're not
Because-
sure that someone else is there. What I'm asking you is an above-game question. Would you like for something negative to happen to you? Or would you
Oh.
like something negative to happen to someone else?
Achira will always choose, at this point, to happen to someone else.
Perfect. Thank you. I apologize if I didn't make that clear. You make it away, Achira. All of you make it away, and as you run past Achira, you see a large lumbering figure firing at the other Romero. It spins and falls off the tracks, and you see Papa Bear emerge from the woods right next to you and starts running. We gotta go. Keep moving, okay, hon?
But they're right behind us. They're right there. Look, they're there.
He glances back, and this big man looks back to you with a bit of resignation. You want to finish it?
I already tried and I failed. I
You're
guess
still
I wasn't
here.
strong enough.
No, none of that. You two are running now. You made it out. That means you were strong enough. This world isn't just about killing when you can kill. Sometimes it's just survival that matters. Keep moving, hon. And he runs forward, keeping an eye on you, obviously concerned. You run without stopping. It is exhausting. 15, 20 minutes maybe. You see your destination. A nondescript, small, makeshift building. It's made out of concrete. Heavy brick walls. Doesn't look much larger than a small hut built into the side of a group of trees with a large metal door and a series of locks. This is one of the ends of the line. This is where you'll find what you've come for. All the things that you'll need to take on your next Rag and Bone mission. Juniper, you are the first to arrive. You know these safe houses are well protected. They are stable and they are locked. Most of them are well concealed. This one, it seems as if its camouflage has been removed. Either someone was very sloppy when they left, or someone else might be nearby trying to break in. Typically, they're covered with a canopy, camo netting and other greenery that hides their presence from the road so that passersby don't get an encouragement to try to break inside. You know how valuable these safe houses are. There are 4 locks, and you know each of the combinations for this specific safe house. You and Skeeter begin working the locks, turning each of them to the appropriate numbers, and you unlock 2 of them. The others arrive in time, running, panting, covered in sweat, concerned about what's behind. Papa Bear appears. Lampwick. Malibu Stacy is being very quiet.
Malibu Stacy's still holding my hand.
She is.
I'm still have my shirt, still wiping it off. And I just look at her and I say, hey, thanks. I need you to help me make sure to get this gunk off of me. It's not safe.
She looks at you. She looks down at her arm. And then you see it. The scratches on her forearm. She pulls her arm away and backs away from you.
Whoa. Wait. Come here. Let me have a look.
Stay the fuck away from me. Dude, stay the fuck away from me.
Hold on. Settle
you
down.
know what this fucking means.
We don't know what it means just
I'm
yet.
not doing it.
Come on, let's just
I'm not
gonna just settle down. Let us take
one
a
of
look.
them. I'm not.
I just grab her and just hug her. Just kind of bear hug her and keep her kind of try to like use that embrace to like.
I need everyone to make a composure roll. She is yelling and you think you know why. Also, a lot of noise is being made right now in the middle of this safe house.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 locks undone. Juniper, or do you continue to unlock the lock, or do you stop and deal with the situation?
I'm just working on the locks. We need to get inside. I did roll though, but
Okay. You are trying to keep your cool, Juniper, but it is hard. Very hard. You have 4 degrees of failure, and the lock keeps spinning, and you keep messing up. You have a small bundle of sticks that has been lit, and currently Skeeter is holding that next to you while it burns, hoping to be able to give you some light, but that bottom lock will not open, and you think you might have jammed it. Do you have any competency points that you would like to spend to make this situation better?
yes, I have 5 competency points. But that was a lot of failure. So if I use all 5, that'll be 1 degree of success, or would that be a break even?
It would be 1 degree of success, which would allow you to remove the lock. Achira, you are perfectly calm. No problem in the least. Lampwick, unless you wish to spend, you don't have any competency left, do you? You have 2?
I haven't used
Can
it.
Achira approach Malibu Stacy?
Yes,
I have something
you can.
particular I'd love for her to do.
Yes. Abigail, you have your glasses on and no one's seeing it, but you keep looking down the backside of the road and you're becoming paranoid. Your hand won't leave the side where you hold on to your pistol. You're ready to shoot, and you realize that this isn't a good situation for you. You've made mistakes before when this sort of thing has happened. If you're agitated, you make mistakes. You can't allow this to happen. And when that paranoia starts creeping through, you remember the cries of everyone that you've lost. Those that have turned in front of you. All of those that you've had to bring release to. Those that you've had to put down. Friends, lovers, dead and in the ground, just in the same way that this young girl is likely going now. Achira, you approach. What would you like to do?
Achira takes a second to remember the campfire stories that her and Malibu Stacy have shared with each other. She does a look around the room, catching everybody else's eye, and then takes Malibu Stacy's full attention, and with her hands up, walks toward Malibu Stacy, and she starts singing, "Making your world today, making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away?
She calms. You've got her face in your hands, and she seems to be breathing heavily. Lampwick is still wrapped around her. Her tear-filled eyes reach yours, and there is sorrow there, but there's also this feral anger. This isn't a child of the world that was. This is a child of the world after. She's willing to do anything to survive.
I'm going to start to let go as she calms, and I wrap my shirt around her arm above where the scratches are and tie it as tight as possible.
As if knowing what you were about to do, Papa Bear comes in and gently places his shoulders onto Malibu Stacy's, or her hands onto Malibu Stacy's shoulders, holding her in place.
Make sure you give her something to bite on. Otherwise, it's going to create more noise and it's going to draw more of these things. We got to put something in her mouth.
I got a leather belt here. Hold on. And
You're doing that. Achira keeps singing.
your song is the only thing that tethers her, and she doesn't break eye contact with you, Achira.
Roll out of bed, Mr. Coffee's dead.
Who's doing the deed?
The morning's
do it.
looking bright, and your shrink wrap.
I mean, actually, I look at Papa Bear. He looks like he's the one that should.
He looks to you. I can't do that.
Be glad there's one place in the world.
All
Look,
right,
if
I'll do
neither
it.
one of you are going to do this, I'll do it because it's got to get done sooner. She's going to change.
I'm ready. Hold her in place.
Where everybody knows your name.
All right. I'm doing it then.
And they're
Do
always
you have
glad you
any
came.
medical training at all?
Yeah, I have a 5 in advanced medicine.
I suggest you roll well then.
Do I know anyone in the group? At this point, I might know who would have that. Do I not?
Yes. Skeeter does have first aid training. Everyone here knows the basics. No one here is a doctor. Skeeter, however, is already preparing something to help you. And you can
Great.
see that he's taken the bundle of sticks that he was holding over Juniper, and he's stoking a fire. You didn't notice at first, but it seems like he's trying to build a small fire so that he can help you to perhaps cauterize the wound after it's done.
Great.
He's taken out a large Bowie knife and is heating it. Just keep doing what you're doing. There ain't no grace to it. You just make sure you don't miss. And there's some arteries in there. She's going to spurt hard, so you better hold tight.
I am getting so irritated at all this fuss. Have you never done this before? Just do it, or we're all gonna die. There's no arguing about it. Just hurry up and do it, God.
Chop, chop, chop.
People are all the same.
Dumbass use of words there, Lampwick. Use a little fucking caution. She's a little girl on the damn ground, and I don't care if she's as feral as a freaking squirrel.
That's me chopping. I'm doing it.
Oh, you didn't say chop chop like
No,
speed
that's
it up.
me.
You
That's
meant-
me
okay.
action. Yeah.
Well, so here we are. You move your hatchet back and you swing, and I would like for you to. I'll let you make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a deal with you.
All right.
You can use your advanced medicine, and I'll be kind with the difficulty dice based on the fact that you are really just removing an arm, and you're pretty good at striking things with an axe. Or you can just use a melee attack, and if you roll well enough, you'll make a clean cut. A medical success is going to be a much better success.
Whew. Okay. I am not a medical dude. I'm just gonna cut it and let Skeeter do all the medical stuff.
Papa Bear holds down Malibu Stacy as her eyes do not leave yours, Achira. They are no longer tear-filled. They are resigned. Her arm is tied off, and she holds it out. It is being held down, but she takes a deep breath. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go
Well,
where everybody
everybody
knows your name. Make a roll for me, please,
Yes.
Lampwick. As the axe pierces into Malibu Stacy's arm.
You want to make a slashing roll?
Slashing roll, no degrees of difficulty. She's being contained. She's providing you an easy target. It's like chopping wood.
I
I
would like to use
want
some
you to be.
competence.
We'll talk about your competency in just a moment, Lampwick.
All right.
We need to take a break.
Oh,
So we're going to step away and take a quick 5-minute break. We started just a little bit later, so we will be taking just 5 minutes, and we will be returning to you as our tale unfolds here on Outbreak, Rag and Bone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back. If you're joining us for the first time, you found yourself here with us as Hunters Entertainment presents Outbreak Undead, Rag and Bone. These survivors are merchants moving along a railway system known as the Ender's Line. They've made their way to a safe house after encountering a number of the Romeros, the regional name for the Walking Dead, shamblers, zombies. They are not a simple thing. It has been 25 years since the world fell, and the dead still roam. They still seek sustenance from the living, and they will stop at nothing to tirelessly reach their goal. Our survivors are standing at a doorway, lying before them on a bed of fallen leaves. A young woman in a pink jumpsuit bites down on a leather strap. As the hatchet falls. Lampwick, you have 1 degree of failure, but you do still have competency points.
I would like to use 3 out of my 5, because I haven't used any yet, to give it 2 degrees of success.
With 2 degrees of success, the arm is removed from the rest of the body. Achira, you're the closest, and a spray of blood narrowly misses you. The singing has stopped.
Achira looks over at Lampwick like, what the hell? Like that expression is on her face. She doesn't say it, but that expression is projected towards him before she can check it.
All right, y'all, move back. And Skeeter pushes forward, grabbing the bleeding stump and pressing a Bowie knife, red hot, up against it. There's a sizzle as the smell of cooked flesh fills the air. And I'm not going to lie, in this moment, as none of you have eaten for over 12 hours, even knowing what this is, there is a disgust to the smell, but it also reminds you that you have not eaten. You push that thought deep and far away. The girl is not screaming. She's looking at you, Achira. Her eyes are steady.
Achira leans down towards her ear And no one else can see this. But where Achira's head is, she's petting Malibu Stacy's hair underneath her ear while she completes the chorus and says, "Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where we can see our troubles all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows Malibu Stacy." And she gets up and walks away.
The other hand, the one that's not lying on the ground 3 feet away from her, grabs you before you go, pulls you close. There is no accent, not an artificial one anyway. "I never had a sister." And she passes out.
Achira takes the hand that has grabbed her and puts that onto Malibu Stacy's chest. Takes a second and then just walks away without looking at anybody.
All right, y'all. She is unconscious, and I got to be real honest about this. We all know what this means. Chances are she's going to die of infection before we get her to the next stop, and I got to be real clear. We might be better off just shooting her here. Papa Bear stands and grabs Skeeter by the shoulder and just pulls him into a hug.
He's not wrong. I hate to say it, and I've grown really fond of the girl. I really have. But this is a big risk, and it's one of us or all of us nowadays, man.
I'd like to try, if we can. Give her a little time. Maybe we can find a community that might... We can't leave her with no community. We'd be condemning them to death, most likely.
I agree, but just keep a very close eye on her, okay? Very close.
Look, we'll stay out here. We'll guard her body. We're not going to go into that safe house with her right now. There's not going to be enough room for 2 of you. Juniper, what are you doing over there? You got that door open?
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody else here. I did use my 5 competency points to get 1 success. So
the door is open, and the large metal hinges creak as you pull it open. It doesn't look like it's been opened anytime soon. So if someone was trying to break in, they did a poor job of it. However, examining the last lock, you can see that it does look like it's been hit with something. This is all pretty suspicious.
All right. Everybody, there's looks like someone's been here. I don't know, maybe even recently. The cover's gone from this storage facility, and the lock's been messed with, so I don't know. Keep an eye out, or don't, or whatever.
Copy. You read me? Anybody out there? Ender Express. Who reads me? Somebody. For fuck's sake, somebody pick up the line. Getting fucking exhausted. All right, fine.
Somebody get that quick. And are we moving her in, or are we keeping her out?
Literally, Achira stands there looking at everybody silent and looking around to the grounds.
Inside the safe house, there is what looks like a CB radio. There are a number of batteries in series that are large, blocky affairs. They look like they have been made out of old containers, and there's a lot of liquid and a number of what look like sponges inside of them. There are wires everywhere, and they join together to form the basis of what looks like an entire series of batteries that are powering a ham radio. Next to it is a generator, a small generator that has a can of gasoline next to it with a note. There's some handwriting on it. I'm not sure who amongst you can read. I'm not going to make assumptions. But if someone can, there may be instructions there. Finally, though, there are a number of bags and boxes that are left here. The cargo that you were expecting to find. Your eyes fall upon what look like a burlap sack full of oranges. A very rare and very highly sought commodity, especially in these parts of the world. The final thing that you find in this safe house is a small television with a VHS player attached to the top of it. Tell me what you're going to do.
Abigail will stand kind of by the door and kind of place herself in the door jamb after the ones who have gone in, just in case, since this place looked a little disturbed, if anybody set a trap for us, she can kind of be right in the middle to see what happens, kind of stand guard.
You're standing guard. Make a spot roll for me, Abigail. I'm going to give you 2 difficulty dice due to the darkness. Lampwick, what are you doing?
Well, I'm moving in. I say out loud, are we taking her in or are we leaving her out? And I'm waiting for them to...
Papa Bear and Skeeter looks to you. Wilgar, you just get whatever you got to get out of there. Let's find out where we're headed and let's get the F out of here.
I go in, and if I see the note, then I'm going to read it because I do know how to read.
Okay. Juniper, you're the first one in the door if you choose to be. Do you go in?
Yeah, I go in. I go over to the oranges, and I start kind of packing like as many as I can fit in my backpack.
Okay. You have a number of oranges. You take about a quarter of that bag, and you pack them away. What about you, Achira? What are you going to do while the others are outside watching over Malibu Stacy and guarding generally, keeping an eye out? It is a very small shack, but you could enter as well if you choose.
Normally, Achira would stay outside to look and just make sure about things. But when the door opened, she saw that there was a VHS player and a tape ready to be played. So she's going to go in. She can read, but she doesn't advertise that to everybody else. She's not even certain if they know that she can, and she doesn't care. She'll go inside, but she won't go near where everybody else is.
It's hard not to be near everybody in this room. It's about 10 feet by 10 feet.
She'll stand to the side of Abigail. Well, if Abigail and Lampwick are near each other, she'll stand in between the two of them.
Okay. You stand there. Lampwick, you make your way to the gas can and you pull the piece of paper off of it. And it is very scratchy, poor writing, but you do manage to decipher what it says. If you're able, return the gas.
I read that out loud. Return the gas, huh?
What? Who?
And I see the comm. Someone was trying to talk to us.
It's quiet now.
Do we want to talk to them back?
Well, we could see who they are. Obviously, they're set up pretty well.
I mean, if
Look
they
at all this stuff.
Yeah, if they put all this crap here, then probably they're a part of the the group that's running this show. So
while by far this is the best indoors safe house that you have ever found, maybe not in size, but certainly in amenities, this is one of the nicest that you have come across in your travels. It's not entirely uncommon. Usually you'll find a radio or perhaps a VHS player. VHS are how they communicate, how they give each other missions and are able to pass around information and rumors. You're used to finding these. The generator is going to need to power it, though. A small series of batteries may run the radio, but that would be all that it's good for.
Well, we're here for information, aren't we? So I guess we need to power this thing up and take a look at what this tape has.
Well,
But before you move over there, and I'm sorry, Juniper, go ahead. Tell me what you're doing.
I was gonna say, would I know how to use the radio to call back?
Yeah, you would. Yeah. Well, do you have any sort of technological training, or is it something that you would know how to use?
After that, if it's possible, I'd like to have an interaction with the people inside about what just happened outside.
Yeah. Do you close the door or do you leave it open?
I close the door.
Okay, so you shut the door. Abigail, just so you know, you're standing outside the door and they just closed it.
Oh.
Do you want Abigail to come in?
She would have moved in before the door got shut.
Okay.
Achira would have looked at Abigail and have given her a choice whether to be in or out.
Okay, well, yeah, you make that eye contact before the door closes, and Abigail, you choose to come inside. All right? The door closes. Juniper, you were going to check out the radio. I'm not going to make you make a roll if you tell me that you have worked with a radio before, if you feel like that's within her skill set, because this is fairly simple.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so do you call out? Do you grab the handset and try to broadcast your voice to the station that has been set to?
Yeah, I keep it at the same station. Hey, we're at do I know what camp number this is, or which? On
the interior of the walls, there is a large 113 painted on the wall in spray paint.
This is 113 station. Hello, knock.
No response.
Okay,
You're all inside the room now. Sorry, Juniper. Go ahead.
I just turn around to everyone. Okay, just, I guess, got the batteries from this and throw it to the VHS if you want to try that, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing whatever I would know to do since we've been here before to give the VHS the juice it needs.
You never ever leave one of these generators full because it can cause corrosion and other problems for the generator if it's not maintained. So typically what you have to do is fill the generator with the gasoline that's there, and then when you're done with it, you have to pump it back out through some means. Looking around, you do see some tubes in a funnel. You go ahead and pour the gasoline into the generator, and you start it. It sputters to life, and immediately a very dim red light begins to flicker overhead. And the television comes to life as the VCR begins to play. And this is what you see.
Well, happy end of days, vagabonds in Vanguard. And may I say a happy high harvest to all the folks from outside of Breadbasket on down the Wabash River, and to them carrying corn and grain, to the folks that are down in Soggy South that are affected by all them fucking rainstorms and the flooding. I really appreciate you. Now, I'm proud that you're with me in the here and now, and if you're new to this whole Ender's Road thing, well, color me green with envy, because honestly, this is a hell of a time to be getting into the rag and bone business. But we do seriously need your help. Now, I'd be out there doing it myself if I could and I was 10 years younger, and my wife didn't have my dick in a vice, let me tell you. But the fact of the matter is, we need all the help that we can get trying to keep the living and the dead right where they belong, in the ground. Now let me get down to brass tacks here with you. I gotta be honest, I got 10 communities, over 30 survivors strong, but we're in a real bad way. It's a dumpster fire of a situation for them. There's a flu tearing through them, and we need meds, something desperate. Now I'm asking all of you to do what you can to get us those meds. Now my Enders, they can pay you for this work. We got food, canned and dry. I can get you some of my special blend. It'll wet your whistle. It'll be great. But we need this, and we need it ASAP. I'm begging y'all. Now, other than that, I need to let you know to watch your asses out there in the wilds. You're very important to us, and we need you alive. Take this tape, stick it back in that lockbox for the next lucky so-and-so that comes along, and hopefully they join up in our cause and take up the mission. Your next bootleg express message should be ready to you before the first frost hits. Now, other than that, I need you to get out there and rag them bones. 10-4.
The light flickers and the television turns to static. There is a light that is cast upon this small cinder block shack. You are all there. The door is closed. I believe you wanted to have a conversation.
During the while the tape was playing, Achira was playing with the token around her neck, and then once it stopped, she stopped playing with it and looked around to make sure that nobody had seen her.
Fair enough.
I don't like to bring this up, but I mean, the communication was pretty straightforward. But also, I think we need to talk about what just happened outside.
Well, what always happens when someone gets bit?
In
I
my
think-
experience, that isn't what usually happens. Usually we just put them all the way down. In fact, I kind of expected it this time.
In
I
all
can-
fairness, it wasn't bit. It will look like scratches to me, not a bite.
And it was at least on somewhere where we could possibly try to stop it from spreading. A lot of the bites and scratches that I've seen have been more in this region, not really able to be saved. But and I mean, we still don't know if she's going to be all right or not. So again, like I said, eyes to the sky on that one. But I hope she pulls through. She's going to be real upset about losing a shooting hand, though.
Well, she's either upset about the hand, or she's not upset at all because she's dead. So, I mean, where I'm from, we just kind of, if you got suspect someone, you just kind of lock them up for a little bit by themselves, or handcuff them, or I don't know. Just seems like it's a easy solution to wait a little bit, as long
When
as they're
faced with
secure.
the fury of a teenage girl who's just lost her ability to do her favorite thing for the rest of her life, I think she
mean,
might prefer to be dead.
You don't have to still.
She can learn a different way of doing things. If she learned anything from the era that she loves to emulate, she would have learned that there are so many episodes about doing, and then at that you feel like Achira just stops and then just looks over at Lampwick. Is there some particular reason why you felt it would be better to remove an arm than something more permanent? I think that I can speak for myself here that most times removing limbs doesn't remove the problem. I didn't. And then you see her like she's struggling with this. I didn't think that if there was, I didn't think that we would have a problem with being on the same page, Lampwick.
I don't have a problem. You just need to define the page. So look, if we decide that she's got to go, then she's got to go, and that's okay. But I have somebody telling me to cut the arm off. I have somebody else telling me something else. So I just did the first one. But look, it's. I don't care. I like the girl. She helped me just now. She probably saved me a little bit. It's really unfortunate, but if the group decides that she's going to be too much of a burden, then all right, darling, you can just do it yourself. It's okay with me.
Abigail walks up to Lampwick and she puts her hand on his shoulder and looks him dead in the eye and goes, You did the best you could. And you made a choice in a split-second decision. And that's a very hard thing to do. And a lot of times, both actions come with their own set of consequences. But you did your best.
Well, thank you. So, they're out there. Let the doctor decide, and then we'll go from there.
Juniper's in the corner just eating some oranges and not dealing with any of this conversation.
Do I notice that Achira has a second bag of stuff that belongs to me?
It's kind of hard to miss.
Since I rolled well on the bag of stuff, have I already incorporated some things into my own stuff?
Yes, you've removed a few things, and I'll let you take a selection off of what was in that bag. Yes, I will make that list for you, and you can pick what you like.
Awesome. We're totally doing that. And then after Lampwick and Abigail have had their moment with like the hand holding and everything like that, then like Lampwick looks over at Achira. She's gonna toss his pack, what's left of it, at him. And
Gotcha.
I saved what I could, but you know, the rest of us are more invested in the group and following what orders work. But you do you, Lampwick, as usual.
Just here trying to make the best of the times.
Ender 5 here, looking for Ender 13. Do you copy?
I press the button. Hi. Knock knock.
Ender 13? 113, do you read?
113. That's us.
113, sorry, Pete, stand back. 113, you have to hold the button down.
What?
Are you just pressing the button? Hold it.
I'm going to take the comm out of her hands and I'll hold it. 113 here, do you read?
Yeah, this is 5, 113, glad to hear you. We didn't know that there'd be anybody alive out there.
Well, there's a couple of us, so it turns out. To whom do we have this pleasure of speaking with?
Just know me as 5. Better that way.
So we're here. I'm imagine you're the ones that left all this stuff here and this a nice little tape.
We did, yeah. So we had to rush out of there. We had to move pretty quickly. My partners and I, we moved on down the line. We're further back. Did you get the message? We left a VHS tape behind.
We just finished watching it. So what do you need us to do?
113, I need you to follow the directions that are inside the pack that is currently located on that table there to your right. There are a few scraps of map that are going to lead you down off the line. There's a survivor community that could really use the help. Those oranges are going to save lives. They're looking to make penicillin and they need the orange rinds.
Copy that. Can you give us any more details on this particular group, this settlement that we will be heading towards? If they're making penicillin, and they have some medics there, obviously, yes?
We don't have a lot of details on that, 113, but I will tell you this much. We think that we can trust them. The doctor there is done right by some of the other Enders, and they've moved away, patched, and they found out what that little community was holding. We're only talking about 16 people, maybe, but they're holed up in a pretty firm-looking farmhouse. You're just going to have to follow the map and let me know how it turns out.
Copy that. Seems simple enough.
We left some high-quality items behind as well. If you can do a little bartering, you should be able to get enough medical supplies to be able to help out a few of the souls that are out here hanging in the wind.
Will do. Anything, and I turn to the group, and anything else you guys want to know now that we made contact?
How dangerous are they?
The group?
Go again, 5? I didn't catch that.
One of us over here wants to know how dangerous this doctor at the barn house is.
As I said, 113, I'm not exactly sure about the individuals that are within the farmhouse. All I know is that they've got a doctor that's able to manufacture penicillin. That's pretty rare. We want to make sure that they're safe. As far as I'm concerned, it could be the devil itself. As long as it's making penicillin and passing it out to the people that need it, I say make the deal.
Let me be more specific then. How many other people that have gone to this farm have then reported back?
I
It'll be
relay
the
that.
first that we've sent out there.
Oh, that's great.
Like I
Great.
said, we've had some Enders come back. Why am I arguing with you? Do the job or not, you're gonna get 20%, and if everything's not there, we'll find you. Over and out.
And
Oh.
copy that.
There's a staticky buzz, and they seem to have dropped contact.
All right, well, I guess
Uh,
that's that. Nice job pissing them off.
Yeah, and if nobody minds, since all they really need is the rhymes, Abigail's gonna reach in and pull out an orange,
Mm-hmm.
and she's going to peel it and put the peel back in the sack and
Mhm.
break apart one of the citruses of the orange and hand a couple of pieces out to everybody and say, I mean, they need us to have our energy if we're going to deliver this stuff to them, right?
I'm
Yes,
not going to
indeed.
lie. This is like Christmas Day.
Yeah.
The breaking of an orange, the smell of the citrus. The fruit isn't even in great shape. It's brown. It's a little bruised and soft. And despite that, this could be the sweetest piece of fruit that you've had in a year.
I take a second one as if I didn't have the one before. Hey, can you guys can you give me the seeds? Cause I don't know. I guess I never told you all, but I collect seeds so we can, for barter and all that.
Oh, we should definitely keep the seeds.
You just spit it right here.
Achira breaks open a different orange than that was offered to her.
Mm-hmm.
Puts the rind back in the bag and gives the seeds to Juniper silently.
I definitely spit out the seeds in Juniper's hand.
All right. So you've collected a number of seeds. You've kept all the rinds that you've peeled off of the oranges that you've eaten. I mean, there's other food here too. There's not much. There's some dried meat. It looks like it might be deer. And there are a couple of very old-looking cans. There are no labels. They've rotted off long ago.
Achira stocks up on anything that other people don't grab.
I'm definitely grabbing my fair share of that stuff.
And as you move through this storehouse, let me see. Abigail, you grab onto one of the boxes and the bottom falls out of it. It's an old wooden crate and the boards have just broken away. And onto the floor tumble a number of things. A series of maps and atlases splay themselves out. They are spiral bound and they fly open, little post-it notes flying across the floor, and a number of scraps of paper kind of tossle across the dirt floor here as you scramble to try to keep them all together. That's not what catches your eye, Achira. 5 VHS tapes hit the ground, scatter and slide out of their boxes.
I'm immediately going to grab for those. Immediately.
You lunge down. Does anyone stop Achira from grabbing onto these VHS tapes?
I mean, I think if I see them fall on the ground, I'm going to kind of lean over to take a look at them and see if there's any writing or anything on them.
Make a spot roll for me. Difficulty with 2 dice, because this is happening very quickly. Achira, you do start grabbing them up, but you don't really pay much attention to what they are. You're just grabbing them, right? Abigail, Juniper, do you do anything in this moment?
Abigail will just ask, what's on them?
I'm gonna look at the maps because I want to try to figure out what's going on with the map situation.
You start grabbing maps. You pick up scraps of paper. Most of them are old atlases that are pre-fall, and there are networks of inked lines that have been corrected. Large areas have been scratched out. Entire city names are carved away as if someone angrily peeled it off. This tells you the general map of the area. The state that you are in from pre-fall is known as Pennsylvania. From what you can tell, if you are able to determine your coordinates, you could use these maps based on the railway lines to be able to guide yourself forward.
I'll just take this since I can navigate a little bit, I guess.
You start grabbing maps and you're looking through. Do you wish to make a roll to see if you're able to make sense of them?
Yeah. Is it navigation?
It is indeed navigation.
Hell yeah.
And I'm going to give you a single difficulty die based on the idea that what you are rolling is based on scribbles across an actual map. You do have a compass in your possession, and you pull it out and start to take readings and trying to understand the direction, Juniper. Abigail, you're standing there with a broken box. What are you doing?
As I'm putting stuff back into the box, I'm gonna kind of closely look at some of the post-it notes and stuff that have fallen off and just kind of generally snoop at things as I'm putting them back in the box.
Okay, so you're grabbing the other items. There's a few things. There's some journals and notebooks, and most of it is just documentation of things that have happened with the station. Sort of a guest sign-in book where they're like 5 survivors traveling west past the Mississippi, wish us well. And then there's a list of names there. And there are other pages that do the same thing, as it seems to be a documentation of the people that have come past this station before. You're not certain if this is something that should leave, but it's up to you.
She looks for 2 names in particular.
You start scrambling through the book. I'll tell you in a moment what happens. But I have to ask you, Abigail, where is your bag at?
She has a couple of little pouches on the side, more like hit bags instead of a backpack, so that it doesn't affect her gun. So she's kind of got like some like multi-fanny packs.
You're standing there, and there's the comforting feel of that other book that you keep with you still to this day. It's to your side. That last vestige of your past. You feel the weight of it, and your hand moves to it, almost as if by instinct. And you're not sure why. Achira, I've kept you waiting long enough. You grab a number of VHS tapes. They're now off the ground. However, Lampwick, one of those VHS tapes, it was a cartoon series. You don't recognize it. 2 very crudely drawn characters, one with yellow hair, another with dark hair. They seem to be adolescent boys wearing shorts. And there's a bat and a frog on it. You're not sure what it is. You didn't get to read it. But the tape itself fell out. And it seemed to have handwriting on it. And it didn't seem to be one of the really aged, old labels that you find on manufactured tapes. It seemed handmade.
Hey, wait. What's that? I want to take a look at that tape. There's some writing on it. I say to Achira.
Achira takes a glance at the tape and is not completely certain what the tape is about, but as she's grabbing the other tapes, you know, she's saying to herself, and probably nobody else gets it, but she looks at the tapes and she's singing to herself. I looked at my kingdom. I was finally there to sit on my throne as the Prince of Bel-Air. And as that happens, she looks over at the other tape that Lampwick was looking at, and her first thought is, Doug?
You look at it, and it says, when you read it, Beavis and Butthead, Volume 1.
Okay. And then You hear Achira say to herself, not expecting anyone else to hear it, goes, "Teepee for my bunghole."
Oh boy.
I'll leave it to everyone else as to whether or not they heard that. You'll have a little bit of explaining to do, but your heart almost stops, Achira, as you notice there are a few documentaries in here National Geographic presents, and they talk about the world around. There are Eastern Asia is one of them. Another is the jungles of the South. And then your heart stops when you come across Pretty in Pink. And you immediately think of the dying girl outside.
Achira instinctually tries to hide that tape.
If I notice it, I'm gonna try to stop.
Do you give the other tape to Lampwick?
The Beavis and Butthead tape? Yeah, he can have it.
If you want to hide this, I'm going to make you make a stealth roll.
I will do a stealth roll for this tape.
All right. Your difficulty, because you are in a very small room, it is dark in here, so I will only give you 1 difficulty die. And then, Juniper, your navigation is 1 degree of success. There are 3 routes that you can go, and I'm going to give you a selection. And Juniper, I'll be clear. The route that you choose is going to determine the course of the next session.
But I had a degree of success.
This is what your degree of success buys you. Okay. Information. I'm not going to tell you which pathway to take. One of them is very dangerous. The other is very easy. And the third will take you somewhere you didn't expect. Achira, you have 3 degrees of success. You quickly and very nimbly slide the tape into your jacket. No one notices. Lampwick, however, you do have the Beavis and Butthead tape. And you look at the characters and you read the words. You remember this. It was very popular. And adolescent boys particularly wouldn't stop making dumb noises because of this cartoon.
Achira looks at Lampwick after she tossed him the tape. Looks him in the face and goes, red hot chili peppers.
Yeah. Meh.
You pull the tape out, Lampwick, and you look in your hands, and it is not a copy, as far as you can tell, of Beavis and Butthead.
Huh. I'm gonna play this tape.
You turn and you move towards the VCR. And there's a gunshot outside and a scream. Okay. It's muffled from inside the cinder block room. Then, listen! Open the damn door! As it pushes forward, you realize that something is blocking. And then you hear a wet crunch.
What the hell is that?
Why didn't you open the door?
Well, I would open the door. I'm at the VHS thing, so you guys are closer to the door than I am. What the hell's going on out there? Skeeter!
I don't think it matters now. That was a very loud crunch.
Do we hear anything else?
Beyond the metal door, in the cinder block room, everything is quiet. No gunshot. No screams. Silence.
Well, I guess we maybe lost more than just one person in our group today. Does anyone want to go investigate? What happened?
Was that gunshot one of theirs, or was it someone else?
I feel like the answer is always, none of
you want to. If none of you want to check, then I will do it.
Is
But
it-
I think that you would care a little bit more about the
You want to go out and check that?
Yeah, I'm locking the doors. If there's a way to lock the doors from inside, I'm locking the doors.
There's a slide bolt. That I said when you close the door, that was what slide.
Achira takes a long look at Abigail saying that, and then stands behind Lampwick to go outside.
To go outside, we're not going outside.
Well, to look out. Stands behind Lampwick at the door.
There are no windows. The only way to see out is to open the door. To be clear, Lampwick, you have your hand on the large metal bolt that slides past this to make sure it's locked. It was already locked when you closed the door. There's no handle in here. To close the door, you slid this bolt into place. Perhaps for the best. The screams outside are silent. The sound of the chainsaw has stopped.
We need to stay quiet.
Did either Skeeter or Papa have a chainsaw? I don't think they did they? And the undead dudes don't have those either, right? So I think it's probably whoever was messing with that lock outside.
The door pushes forward and stops because of the bolt. Someone is on the other side, putting pressure on the door very slowly, testing to see if it will open.
I hide.
Maybe there's another way out of this unit. Can I check for any kind of upper vent doors or?
Your voice echoes through the cinder block, and I'm going to use my risk that I've been accumulating as the bolt that holds the door closed creaks under the weight of someone pushing very hard from the other side. It holds fast, but you're not certain how long it will.
I'm going to brace myself against it to give it at least a little bit more to resistance while we figure out what to do.
Achira's going to brace also, but brace to close the door so that the latch will fall again.
And Abigail is hiding, but slowly and quietly pulling her gun out and readying from a dark corner of under something or behind something for whatever's coming through.
And I'm putting a hand on a knife.
I need everyone to make a composure check before you do anything. I've noted your intent.
Great.
But I need to know if any of you are losing your cool.
It's a straight composure, no nothing else?
There's nothing else for it right now.
Oh, did I do that wrong? I did. I need to re-roll that. I added.
Go ahead, Lampwick. Yeah. I didn't say there was any difficulty. This is very stressful, but I've not added anything to the roll yet. You are behind a cinder block wall and a steel door. Surely this person cannot come through. Surely.
I've got 1 degree of success.
Same thing.
1 degree of success from Achira. 3 degrees of success from Abigail. Juniper has 1 degree of success, but Lampwick, you have 1 degree of failure. Do you have any competency left?
I have 2 left, and I will use them right now.
And you're going to convert them both into a success.
Mm-hmm.
You do so. You almost involuntarily scream as the door lunges forward again. Whoever's on the other side is patient and waited. They were very calm and still, and then they rammed into the door. And there's a loud thud that rings out throughout the safe house. Ka-chonk! 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 And you hear the scraping of metal against metal as the chainsaw rakes across the steel of the door. And then there's a loud snapping noise as the chain breaks. And then there's a clatter of metal on the other side. And then pounding again. Ka-chonk! 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 And then everything is quiet. All of you are standing there. Again, your intentions have been noted. You move into separate positions. Weapons are drawn. You are braced against the door, Lampwick. Minutes pass.
I don't feel any pressure anymore.
You do not.
I'm not a combat, what do they call it, tactician or anything, but I think if we stay in here forever, we'll die, and if we go outside, we might die, but we might be okay. But I did hear about this thing about maybe if you open the door only a little bit, so like one person at a time can get in, we can like, you know, all four of us can, you know, at the same time.
As in a really hushed tone, I'm still bracing against the door. If I feel them rushing, I'm opening this so that whoever the fuck that is, falls in here, we take them out, and I'm gonna lock it right after that.
I think that sounds like a plan. I can put like a little rope across the way here to let them trip over it, you know, because they'll probably run. And I place a small rope trap in front of the door, opening of the door.
Yeah, you can tie some rope.
Are there any fuel sources within the room at all?
I'm sorry, what was that, Achira?
Are there any fuel sources within the room at all?
There's an entire
There's
half
a-
can of gasoline and another half of it in the generator. The generator is still going.
Where we are standing right now in this bunker, are we uphill or downhill of the hallway that is next to the door?
You're talking about the doorway and trying to get to the hallway. This is one room.
I'm specifically talking about pouring combustible fluid underneath the doorway.
Oh, I see.
Lighting it a fire.
You could do that. It is downhill from a small scrabble, so it is effectively gravel that leads out onto the open area by the train tracks. So it dips down into a little valley like most rail tracks do, and then it raises back up to where you're at now. So pouring gasoline through the crack of the door might produce what you were asking for.
It might also light us on fire.
It might.
Because I'm sorry, if I poured it, we'd be on gravity's side, or we'd be against gravity?
Gravity seems to be on your side as long as you're very careful.
Towards us.
No, it will go down the hill. It will go out the door.
Down the hill away from us if I poured a combustible fluid.
That is correct.
I say pouring it is a good idea, but I think our first bet should definitely be any other action besides setting the building that we're in on fire. Last case scenario, but I'm still for it. Just other options first.
Yeah, there's no windows in here, so the smoke will make us pass out too.
Achira has grabbed the gas can and has headed over to the door and is listening to everybody and everything that they are saying right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm at the door, and if I can see, I just put my hand up and I say, look, if you're going to light that on fire, that fire is going to follow the trail that's going to be starting from right where we are right here.
We are uphill of this fire. I'm not saying that I'm lighting it now, but I am saying that if we don't have a different way to go about this, then we need to weaken or cut down the enemy that is on the other side of this door before we face them. I'm not saying we pour this, light it, and then open the door, because then we will have Romero's on fire against us. I'm saying we pour it, light it, let nature take its course, and once the screaming has stopped, we deal with what is later. But that is just simply an option.
We can also just let him bust through the door and I can shoot him in the face.
I'm super okay with that. As I mean, I definitely have my knife out right now. Is there any noise around us at all?
Make a spot check. As you're listening at the door, spot listen as you're quietly pressing your ear up against the door.
No good.
Lampwick, that is 4 degrees of failure. How do you think I should handle this?
4 degrees of failure.
That's
I mean, depending on, I mean, that's a pretty bad failure. So either I put my ear on the door and then somebody punches it and it rattles my head.
Interesting.
Or I somehow
like,
stump.
I could take it for you and decide, unless you have a thought.
I mean, getting my eardrum popped for a moment through something of that sort sounds like a pretty bad thing. Otherwise, an easier way out that I can give myself is that I just go to listen and slip and fall when the gas can spills on the ground as I knock it out of Achira's hand.
I like that. You press your ear up against the door and nothing happens. You don't hear anything at all. You're actually fairly certain that whatever it was that's out there is either gone or standing somewhere further away. You don't hear the ragged breathing. You don't hear the pounding. You certainly don't hear the chainsaw, and you'd be surprised if that happened.
But... And I think at that moment I would turn around and like put my hand up to try to like gesture to Achira, and I miscalculate my move and knock the gas can out of her hand.
The gas can hits the ground. I am going to allow Achira, Abigail, and Juniper to save this. If you would like to try and mitigate this failure, you can begin to engage. Do any of you have competency points left? Abigail, then you are the only one. If you spend 2 competency points, I will allow you to make a check to see if you're able to use your athletic ability to grab onto the canister as it tips over.
I will.
You have 1 degree of difficulty.
I'm rolling, what am I rolling?
I would like for you, pardon me, make it a, make it a hold check.
A what check?
Hold.
Okay, hold.
Actually, I would take that back. Lift pull. I'm going to make it lift pull.
All right.
It's not so difficult for you to see how it's falling. It's more about how you grab it.
Oh.
Abigail, you have also gotten, well, you've gotten 5 degrees of failure as you push forward.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say that I think you made it worse as you lunge forward and knock the can over, and the entire contents spills out and the room begins filling with fumes. You tried. You may not have made it worse. There's about a quarter of a tank left in the can as you turn it over, but you've also got gasoline all over you. Achira, you are fine. You stepped back. Your boots are a little wet, but other than that, there's nothing on you. Lampwick, your pant legs are soaked.
Told you that was a bad idea, as I immediately put the blame on Achira.
I don't think we should light any flames right now, or shoot any guns. Is how gas works, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna look around here and see if there's anything that somebody left behind for us to change into. And she'll kind of nod at Lampwick and start kind of scrambling to see if anybody did leave any clothes or anything behind at that
There
outpost.
are
Cheer.
some coveralls, like old automotive style coveralls with names embroidered on the side that say things like Bubba and Chris and Gerald.
Oh,
Achira looks at Abigail and Lampwick and just has like this almost indiscernible smirk, and then takes what is left of the fuel, pops off the top, and splashes it under the door.
You do so. I think you've had it hard enough. I'm going to say that because of the gap in the door, though it is fairly small, you're able to coax most of this gasoline out the other side. It did make a little bit of a mess on this side, but at this point, it certainly doesn't matter. You take about a quarter of a tank of this gas and you dump it outside the door.
Can I grab the bag that we were supposed to get from this facility?
It's more than a bag.
Oh, the medical.
There are boxes and other crates that were meant to go to this community.
Ooh.
There are now 4 of you, you presume, that are meant to carry all of this. It would have been a lot easier with 7.
Do I
You
have
hear nothing. It is still quiet. Do you stay here for an extended period of time, or do you open the door?
Achira does the first part of shave and a haircut on the door to see if anybody answers back. Dun 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 dun.
Is this where you say knock knock or not? Is that not? That's okay.
You hear nothing.
She makes sure everybody else is clear and then lights the fluid under the door.
Is this going to light the whole? Because the
as
fumes.
that before she does that, so I like turn to the group and I say, "You guys, I guess I'm Gerald now," and I change out of my pants and put on those, those coveralls, and with my old pants, I try to sop up and clean up some of this gasoline spill on our side, especially.
Achira's gonna wait. Like she has checked in with other
Okay.
people, but she's freaking doing this unless someone wants to bodily stop her. So, but she'll wait to make sure everybody else is good.
Unfortunately, Outbreak Undead does not feature a cleaning gasoline skill. So what I'm going to have you roll is a very simple composure check for all of you. And as long as you've kept your cool, you'll be able to mostly clean up the gasoline and there won't be any problems. But if you're in a state where you're unable to maintain your nerves, you might miss something.
Oh, finally.
All right. Lampwick, you have 3 degrees of success and you do a very good job of cleaning the area that you're working with. Abigail, you have 2 degrees of failure and you have no further competency points. So you do not do very well. You don't spill further gasoline, you don't make further issues. However, if it were not for the successes that Lampwick has rolled, pardon me. If it wasn't for the successes that Lampwick rolled, this would be a failure. But as a group, I am adding these together, which means, Juniper, are you assisting in this matter?
Yeah, I guess.
So that is 1 degree of failure, which means that is 3 degrees of success and 3 degrees of failure. With no competency points, I'm afraid that makes this a neutral draw.
Should I also, composure-wise, put Achira into the mix?
Do you help them?
We'll see how this goes.
Then make a composure check if you're helping. This will be the determining roll.
Ugh.
Why not? It all ends anyway.
Day 1, we gassed ourselves to death.
you versus a can of gasoline.
I guess we died.
Achira, that's 1 degree of failure. So what happens is this. The group is certain that they have succeeded in cleaning the space thoroughly.
Would this count as a location hazard at all?
Yes.
I will use my competency point that I get from my acumen tier, because that is something that is integral to my character. When there is a location hazard, I get a competency point. I am utilizing that.
You've just saved the group, Achiro. While they may not have all set on fire, you would have easily created an enormous problem by lighting this without correcting the situation.
This
As
is
you
why
are-
you only go it alone.
As you are spending a competency point, I will tilt this in your favor. This once. You are successful. There's a blaze of light on the outside of the door, and the fire quickly burns off, as there was not very much gasoline for it to burn. It's bright for a moment, you feel heat against the door, and still you hear nothing.
I mean, maybe they're just standing like far away from the fire. They know we did something now because of the fire.
Does the door open out or in?
It opens in.
I'm gonna open the door slowly in, just enough so that maybe only one of them can try to struggle to get in, if there's more than one. So I'm gonna open it maybe a foot, and I'm gonna brace myself so that if something tries to come in, I can slam it on their body halfway through.
The door opens. It creaks ponderously into the space. It is small, and you step around. Achiro, you're right behind him, is that correct?
Yes, I am. I have my long gun pulled because from the commotion on the other side of the door, I thought that whoever would be there would be further away, since there was no exfoliation once the flagration happened.
I am going to anyone who can see outside. You lose a morale point. There is a gory mess that is scattered across the ground in front of you. The remains of Malibu Stacy are in 3 places, each of them 30 foot away from each other. Her upper torso, the arm that you removed, and her lower body. It looks as if she has been pulled in half, and her intestines string between her. From a nearby tree, you see the remains of Skeeter, as his mouth is open in a silent scream. A shattered piece of tree branch jutting out of his mouth as his body dangles lifelessly from it. He is 10 feet off the ground, hanging like a rag doll from this tree. Papa Bear, however, you think it's Papa Bear, has been cut from groin to neck, and the 2 halves of his body have been splayed open like a strange flower as his intestines are strewn, hot and still steaming. His head and neck look as if they have been snapped. And his eyes lock on yours for a moment, Achira, as you see fear etched upon the face of this kind man from Chicago. Everyone else that you were traveling with has been horribly mutilated. In a broken pile, a chainsaw lies twisted. Any of you who have ever worked with a chainsaw before know that they are not effective as weapons. It's hard enough to keep the chain on when you're cutting through wood, let alone rampaging on a murderous spree or striking against a metal door. Whoever this was trying to make a point. This is unthinkable and has nothing to do with the Romeros. This was malicious. This was hatred. This was intentional. You have some decisions to make, and then the session will be over. Will the group travel through the night, knowing how extraordinarily dangerous it is to walk through the dark places, seeking this community that you are not certain that you found the direct path to? Or will you camp here in this shelter overnight?
As uncomfortable as it is, I vote we camp here. Wait till daybreak and move. We need rest.
I agree. And we should take care of them too, the best we can.
It looks like they've been taken care of already.
Oh, yeah, I know, but you... Oh, sorry. I meant the cleanup. Making sure that they're, Oh, sorry, it's a little hard for me to stomach that right now. I've seen a lot of this, but it never gets easier. It never gets easier.
If we're all inside, I'm closing the doors so we don't have to deal with that sight while we figure this out.
You close the door and slide the bolt shut. It slides into place, and though it is bent, whatever it was that was pushing against that door was incredibly strong. This is a full 2 inches diameter of steel, and it's bent.
I think we should stay here. It seems like this door did okay today. We can reinforce it a little from the inside, and should keep the regular Romeros out. But I don't know what this big thing is.
You all literally stand outside of a carnage, and you want to embrace a temporary peace? That is not what this is. You think, do you honestly think those that did this will be okay with your complicit temporary peace? This is not something to be stomached. This is not something to exist within a bunker and slept on. That is not what this is. To be within this type of self-enforced prison, while those that have stood with us, and don't get me wrong, I would have sacrificed them as soon as I would have sacrificed any of you, to sit within this self-imposed penitentiary.
You can go outside if you want to. No one's keeping you in here.
Nothing, apparently, Lampwick, is keeping me here with any of you. And at that, Achira opens the door, looks back at all of them, and goes, "It ain't easy being me. Will I see the penitentiary, or will I stay free? Stay here if you want to die. I don't care either way. But that won't be me." And she heads off
into the wild. The darkness welcomes you, Achira, as you walk away. The others are still in the bunker. Does anyone accompany Achira?
Not after that.
Juniper?
I feel like I should stay with the group in here if we're all gonna stay in here. But if we all leave, I'll go with everyone too.
Abigail?
She has a claustrophobia issue, then let that be her issue. I think it's wise to not tread into the dark.
The door slams shut. Lampwick, you slide the bolt back into place. The decision has been made. Achira, you are alone again. You are moving through the cold night. You walk past the carnage of this evening. And somewhere in the distance, you hear her song, playing in your memory, far away, as you pass by the body of the girl that wanted to be known as Malibu Stacy. Inside the bunker, night is comforting, but not over. You are secure. The door is locked. You find sustenance in the food that has been left here. You eat some of your own rations and drink from the water that you're carrying. You are, for all intents and purposes, safe and as comfortable as you could be outside of a charnel pit. Nothing interrupts you that evening. But Lampwick, as you sit there, thinking about what Achira said, wondering if she was right, hoping that you meet her again, perhaps, hoping that she lives through that long walk. You're looking down at the VHS tape that you took. The strange cartoon faces are sneering at you with a frog being hit with a baseball bat. But inside, you know, there is no joke. No cartoon characters. There is a tape with a series of dashes written upon it. Dot, dot, dash, dash, dot, dot.
I want to know what's on this tape. I'm going to play it like I wanted to before.
You take the tape and you slide it into the VHS. Juniper, Abigail, you're in shock. You're there. The orange rinds are spread out before you, and the light of the television comes to life as Lampwick presses play.
Okay, listen, I don't have a lot of time, and I don't know who will find this, but I pray that you do not lose hope. My name is Outbreak, and I have a cure. I'm not safely able to record everything here, but I have a message the world needs to know. The virus, which has plagued us and devastated everything that we know and love, is not without weakness. I and a small group that rose out of the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, have tested a radical antiviral which has produced a full and complete reversal of the devastating H195 virus. This message cannot end with you. Pass it on, make copies, and spread the truth. I leave it to the Good Samaritans and the Silent Sentinels, those who never waver and always, whatever you do, trust them. Fear the